All praise to the power of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, for surely his mercy endureth forever. I want to say all praise to the Most High for all the brothers and sisters sitting in this room, all the brothers that came out of the way to make it here. All praise to the Most High that we were able to make it throughout another week in this captivity to sit down to go over these scriptures, right? So I'm going to be going over Colossians chapter 3, verse 17. Father in Israel, we came out a little late. You know, usually the starting time is 8:30. But go ahead, give me Colossians chapter 3, verse 17.
Colossians chapter 3 and verse 17. And whatsoever ye do in word or deed, do all in the name of Hamashiach Yahushai, giving thanks to the Most High and the Father by him.
So wherever we do, we have to give all praise to the power of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and through his son, Bahashem Mashiach Yahushai, through his son, Mashiach Yahushai, right? So I want to give a powerful hand. I want to give a powerful hand for what's coming by in a few days. What's coming by in a week or so? It's the feast of what?
Hanukkah.
The feast of what?
Hanukkah.
The feast of Hanukkah. Feast of dedication, man. All right, I want to give a powerful hand for that. And I want to give a powerful hand to the brothers and sisters that's maybe coming here to keep the feast of dedication with us here at the Light of Zion.
Hallelujah.
Because you're our family. Many of you brothers and sisters that watch this on live on YouTube, you're as much my brothers and sisters as many people who are sitting in this room, right? So read Colossians 3 and 17 one more time.
Colossians chapter 3 and verse 17. And whatsoever ye do in word or deed, do all in the name of Hamashiach Yahushai, giving thanks to the power and the Father by him. So
when you read this, as you read in the title of tonight's class, it's going to be 1 Maccabees Chapter 4, verse 1 to 37. And the reason why it's stopping at 37 is because next week is going to be our last Friday night, going over the book of Maccabees and going over what led to us getting our temple back. What led to us getting and sanctifying and dedicating our temple back to the Most High God, right? So that's going to be next week, Friday night. So what I want to touch on is that, I want to say all praise to the Most High. This year, I really sat down and actually given the time to actually think about the Feast of Hanukkah and think about what is it really about. A lot of brothers, we see Hanukkah, or sisters, we see Hanukkah as, just a feast that we dedicated the temple back to the Lord, but that's just the surface level. If that's what you're celebrating Hanukkah alone about, then you still have the veil over your eyes, such as Paul said, or such as Moses said. You still have the veil over your eyes, because we don't just celebrate Hanukkah as just the day we dedicated the temple. We celebrate it as our Troopers' Day. We celebrate it as our day to celebrate our veterans.
That's right.
We use it as a day to celebrate and honor Black and Hispanic fathers and mothers, because Maccabees has a lot to do with that, right? Give me Sirach chapter 30. Sirach chapter 30, verse 1. Because the beginning of Maccabees chapter 1, you see how it doesn't begin with Judas. It doesn't begin with Judas at all. It began with his father. Mm-hmm. It began with his father seeing injustice in the land that he grew up in. Seeing children being murdered on the streets. Seeing young women being made harlots by the heathens. Our women and children being taken and being brought as slaves to another place. Right? Read. Sirach chapter 30, verse 1.
Sirach chapter 30 and verse 1. He that loveth his son causes him to feel the rod.
Jump down. Let me see.
The verse 3. He that cheats his son to grieve the enemy.
Hold on. Yeah, you can start from verse 1. It's all right. Go ahead. So the minor part of Hanukkah that, and I really try to sit down and actually write these things down, but it's better that I go off the spirit and I let you understand what I think about this. The Feast of Hanukkah begins with us. It's the mic, right? You can hear me? It's good? How about now? It's fine? Okay, all praise the Most High. The Feast of Hanukkah begins with us honoring our Black and Hispanic mothers and fathers, man. Our mothers and fathers are teaching us to keep the commandments and teaching us better not to celebrate some gay celebration called Christmas, some child molesting celebration called Christmas, right? Read.
Sirach, chapter 30 and verse 1. He that loveth his son.
What did he do?
He that loveth his son.
You love your children. You love your children because you teach them to keep the law, statutes, and commandments. And you don't spare that rod, right? That's why when we begin the book of Maccabees, it's Mattathias first. Mattathias, he led the way for his sons. He showed them what? He showed them what was going on in the land, them doing all types of abominations, defiling our temple with prostitutions and male strippers, doing all these things. And I will be showing it tonight. He showed that to his sons, and they were able to understand, Abba, you're right. You're right, and we're willing to follow you until our last breath. Right? Read on.
He that loveth his son causeth him oft to feel the rod.
Read on.
That he may have joy of him in the end. He that chasteneth his son shall have joy in him, and shall rejoice of him among his acquaintance. He that teacheth his son to grieve it.
Read verse 2 one more time.
Verse
like
2.
I said, Hanukkah first and foremost begins with us honoring our Black and Hispanic fathers and mothers. That's where we begin with first, right? Read.
Verse 2. He that chasteneth his son shall have joy in him, and shall rejoice of him among his acquaintance.
Amongst his what?
Acquaintance.
You're gonna be able to enjoy your children because you're teaching them to keep the law, statutes, and commandments. You're teaching them to fear the Most High God. So when you're around your friends and your associates, they're not going to say something stupid like, Daddy, when you going to buy me Christmas gifts? Daddy, is Santa Claus really coming down our chimney that does not exist in our hoods? In the Section 8 buildings? Mm-hmm. Right? They're not going to say something stupid like that, right? Because you're teaching them better. So we give a hand to you Black and Hispanic fathers and mothers that are teaching them to keep these commandments. Read on.
Verse 3. He that teacheth his son grieveth the enemy.
What happens?
He that teacheth his son grieveth the enemy.
See, a lot of times out here in these streets, a lot of times outside these doors at the Light of Zion, you know what's teaching these little children? The rappers. Yep. You know what's teaching these little children? Mm-hmm. The television. Yep. You know what's teaching children? Instagram. Yep. That's what's teaching them. The phone itself is teaching these children. But you know what's supposed to grieve the enemy? Is when you teach them. You know why? Because the enemy is the one who gave them the phone. The enemy who's the one who established Instagram. Right. The enemy is the one who put that TV in your house. And I remember when Chief Minister Solomon, when we first came in through his door, he said, was it Chief Minister Solomon or Chief Khan? There's 9,999 channels on television, and not one of them teach you anything righteous. Keep going.
Verse 3. And before his friends he shall rejoice of him. Though his father die, yet he is as though he were not dead.
Read verse 3 one more time.
Verse 3. He that teacheth his son grieveth the enemy.
He does what?
Grieveth the enemy.
So we honor you so-called Black and Hispanic mothers and fathers, man. Because if we don't, no one will. So we will. You know why? Because since you're teaching them the law, statutes, and commandments, you know what your son is going to do? He's going to teach drug dealers. He's going to teach drug dealers that there's something better. There's something greater for you to die. There's something better for you to die for rather than dying for a block, dying for a street, dying for a damn zip code, a damn area code, 954, let's run it. It's going to be something more than that, right? And because of you teaching your children, just like Mattathias taught his children, Judas, Jonathan, Simon, Eleazar, John, the same way he taught them, your child is going to teach a drug dealer a better way of life. He's going to teach a Blood, a Crip, and a damn MS-13 member. He's going to teach them there's something more than just this area code. Being a Latino, being a Zoe. He's going to teach them something more. So in Hanukkah, we give honors to you fathers and mothers out there. Honors to you brothers and sisters that are having these children. Because we know it's not getting easy. Mm-hmm. We know what's going on in the high schools, in the elementary. These teachers teaching little children about being gender fluid. Right? We know it's not easy. But every day you teach your children that the white man's the devil. Every day you teach them that they're the Israelites. Every year you bring them to Hanukkah. Guess what? You grieve your enemies. So we honor you, so-called, you black and Hispanic fathers, mothers, man. We honor you. Same way we honor Mattathias for teaching Judas. He surely knew better. He knew better. Yeah. He could have been like Eli. Eli and his children. Eli and his children who were sleeping with women in the temple. Cool. Could have been like him.
Yeah, I remember them brothers.
Right.
Yeah.
And they died gruesome deaths.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So we honor you, so-called black and Hispanic mothers and fathers, man. And you for your dedication to serve your people. Because when brothers like us are dead, when our elders are passed on in the spirit world, guess what? Your children are going to take over. Your children are going to be sitting in these seats. Your children are going to be the ones guiding the Feast of Hanukkah. Right?
Right.
Or am I making it up?
No.
Right? So I was going over that. I was really thinking about it. Hanukkah is not just the dedication of the temple. We honor our black and Hispanic mothers and fathers. We not only that, we honor, guess what? Our veterans, our elders. Because just like Judas and Maccabees, just like they were willing to sacrifice and give up their lives for their people, right? Because it's not about death. That's not what Hanukkah is about. It's about life, right? That's what it is. It's about life, right? Because it's not about, okay, I'm just going to die and lie down and that's it. Just like the brothers in chapter 1. Right. If they come up against us, heaven and earth is going to testify they killed us. No. They were about death. That's what they were about. They were about death. Judas, Maccabees, and their gang, you know what they're about? They were about life. And their life was forfeiting their lives over to the nation of Israel. Right. We're going to do everything in our life, our resources, our money, everything, and dedicate it to the children of Israel until we die. Get into 1 Maccabees. 1 Maccabees chapter 3. We're going to review chapter 3, and then we're going to go into chapter 4. First Maccabees chapter 3, verse. You can start from verse 12. Fine.
First Maccabees chapter 3 and verse 12.
Uh-huh.
Wherefore Judas took their spoils, and Apollonius sword also, and therewith he fought all his life long. Right.
So this is Judas talking about, this is the battle of Mahaliel Levonah of 167 to 166 BCE. So when Judas fought this man, he fought him, he defeated him, he took his spoils, and he took his sword. I remember I was reading this, and I was like, this reminds me of so many other people, of our people. Mm-hmm. This reminds me of David. When David slew Goliath, he killed Goliath, and he killed him with his own sword. Mm-hmm. And then he took his sword and brought it to the temple. And then when he fled from Saul, he went back to the temple and took Goliath's sword with him, so he can use it to defend himself against Saul and his bands. This also reminds me of a popular Judite that led a slave revolt. Anybody blow my mind? Who am I talking about? A Judite. Come on. I want a Judite to answer this too. Any tribe. Go ahead. Do we have another mic? Working mics? No? Live? Nah, I need a Judite male. He's a Judite male. He was a man. He led a slave revolt. Huh? Yeah. Who was it? Nat Turner. Give the brother a hand.
Hallelujah.
So I'm thinking about Nat Turner. Same way Nat Turner was leading a slave revolt, and he was killing all them slave owners. And then there was one specific slave owner that he was familiar with. And when he killed him, he took his sword. that was hanging in his house. That's why you got a famous picture. You got Nat Turner. He's holding the sword to his side because he carried that sword until he died, right? So it's funny that you see the same thing with Judas. But go ahead, continue. Oh, you're going to find the picture? If you find it, put it up. Go ahead.
Verse 12. Wherefore Judas took their spoils, and Apollonius' sword also, and therewith he fought all his life long. Now when Seron, a prince of the army of Syria, heard say that Judas had gathered unto him a multitude and company of the faithful to go out with him to war, he said, I will get me a name and honor in the kingdom, for I will go fight.
So read verse 14 one more time again.
Verse 14. He said, I will get me a name and honor in the kingdom, for I will go fight with Judas.
With who?
With Judas.
With Judas, come on.
And them that are with him, who despise the king's commandment.
Right, so we're not going to be going all the way from 15 all the way to the end of the chapter. There's a few points I want to review in chapter 3, right? So when you read verse 13, this is Seron, right? He's head over an army in Syria, but he's under the Seleucid army, right? Empire. So he decided he wants to go fight Judas because he wants to get a reputation, right? Right? Read 14 one more time.
Right.
And let's see what he wanted. Read it.
Verse 14. He said, I will get me a name and honor in the kingdom, for I will go fight with Judas and them that are with them.
Why?
With him, who despise the king's commandment.
Who despise what?
The king's commandment.
He despised the king's commandment. Now, who remember what the king's commandment was? Not you, Hawk. You know all the answers. Who remember the king's commandment? Go ahead. You got to say it with camp voice. Like, ain't nobody going to hear you. Ain't nobody can hear you, Hawk. Got it. Don't worry. It says, who despised the king's commandment. So the reason why he was coming to Judas is because Judas was against the king's commandment. Now, who remembers what the king's commandment was? Go ahead. But if you say, you got to say it with count voice. I want everyone to hear you.
Book of First Maccabees Chapter 1 and verse 41.
A little louder.
Moreover, King Antiochus worked to his whole kingdom, that all should be one people, and everyone should leave his laws. So all the heathen agreed according to the commandment of the king.
Damn, give him a hand. I'll praise the Most High. We're not going over this for no reason. So it said the king's commandment. Did the king only have one commandment? No. But there's a very specific commandment that he came about during his time as ruling, right? And what that was that everyone be as one people. Now, who knows what that's supposed to mean? Go ahead, Captain Aliyah. You got all the answers. Right.
It would mean there would be a big goulash, a big pot of, I don't want to say, what's that? What is it called? Gumbo.
Shalom, Captain. Shalom.
He want to merge everyone into a big mesh of gumbo. That's the one way I can say it.
He's speaking in parables. I'll make it plain upon tables for the children of Israel. Don't worry about it. So, when it said that he wanted everyone to be one people in Maccabees Chapter 1, it's not everyone coming together, let's just see who has the most conducive culture or heritage, and we're going to follow those practices. No. Antiochus had the power. Antiochus had the manpower, the resources, the money. He already conquered all these regions. So what does he really want? He wants everybody to follow what the Grecians are doing. The same way the Grecians are gay, he wants everyone to be gay. The same way you see the so-called white man today is gay, right? Or am I making up? Or maybe I'm saying something you don't know. Kano la'a. Right? Read. I want to read that commandment one more time. It's First Maccabees Chapter 1, verse 41.
You want me to read it, or?
I want you to read it.
All right. First Maccabees Chapter 1 and verse 41. Moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom.
His whole kingdom, read on.
That all should be one people.
All should be what?
One people.
Should be what?
One people.
Who remembers when we was going over First Maccabees Chapter 1, and it talked about how Israel said they wanted to make places of exercise in the land. Mm-hmm. Who remember what that was supposed to be? What was that?
A gymnasium.
Oh, what was it?
A gymnasium.
And what did he do in gymnasiums?
They was getting naked doing workouts.
That's what you do. That's what the Greeks was about. We're going to work out, but we're going to work out naked. Right? And we're going to make schools in this new place called America, and every school is going to have something called a gym.
Gymnasium.
Same place where our ancestors was getting naked and freaky. Right? This is the same people. We can't make this stuff up. Right? Read.
Verse 42. And everyone should leave his law. So all the heathen agreed according to the commandment of the king.
I already tells you what the heathens were about. Read on.
Yea, many also of the Israelites converted also to his religion.
So now, as men who teach the law, statutes, and commandments and deal with brothers every day and every week, now you understand why so many brothers are so adamant to be Christians. Why so many brothers are so adamant to teach that God loves everyone. He's for everybody. You know why? Because many Israelites are gay. Many Israelites follow and love the ways of the Grecians. They hear a place of exercise. They love that idea. I want that in every city in Israel. You tell me you get naked? That's a splendid idea. Why didn't we think of that? There's Israelites like that today. And there was Israelites like that back then. Mm-hmm. Right? Nothing changes. Read on.
And sacrifice unto idols and profane the Sabbath.
Right. Let's get an example of a perfect example and how defiled these people were. Right? I sent you an image. Actually, you know what? Just search it up so they can see it. Get 2 Maccabees Chapter 6 verse 1 to 8 in the GNT, and I want you to read in the Apocrypha, KJV.
You say 1 Maccabees Chapter 6,
verse 1 to 18.
1 to 18.
2 Maccabees Chapter 6, 1 to 18. You got it? All right. Now hold that off. They can still see me, right? Okay, I'll praise the Most High. You reading the KJV first. Right.
1 Maccabees Chapter 6, verse 1.
Uh-huh.
About that time, King Antiochus, travailing through the high countries, heard say that Elimaeus.
2 Maccabees 6 and 1?
You say 2 Maccabees?
2 Maccabees 6 and 1.
1 Maccabees. I'm Salak, brother. Okay, hold on.
Second Maccabees Chapter 6 verse 1. We're gonna see how defiled these heathens were, and let's see how defiled they wanted us to be, right?
2 Maccabees Chapter 6 and verse 1. Not long after this, the king sent an old man of Athens to compel the Jews to depart from the laws of their fathers and not to live after the laws of Yahweh.
Uh-huh.
And to pollute also the temple in Jerusalem.
What were they going to do?
To pollute also the temple in Jerusalem.
So they're going to pollute our temple. Read on.
And to call it the temple of Jupiter
The temple of what?
And to call it the temple of Jupiter Olympius.
Jupiter. The temple of what?
Of Jupiter Olympius.
Uh-huh.
And that the guardian of Jupiter and the defender of strangers.
So, Jupiter Olympius. Who knows what Jupiter Olympius is? Huh? That's an idol god. It's a very popular god today. We still say it every day. They put it in cartoons. They put it in movies. They make sure that you remember this god. So who knows what god this is? What idol? What filthy idol this was?
I was just finna say that.
Go ahead, Doc.
There you go.
Show them. They don't know. Show them, Doc. There you go. He said the God of the gays. But this is the god Jupiter. And the reason why you see the terminology Jupiter right there, it really means Zeus. Right. They took our temple, they defiled it by calling it the temple of Zeus, and they put a statue of Zeus inside our temple. Our holy temple, right? The only reason why you see it as Jupiter is because the Romans had the same gods as the Grecians. All they did is rather than call them the same names as the Grecians, they named them after the planets. So you have their god Jupiter, you have Mars, you have Venus, all of that. But they're all the same gods, though. They look the same, they do the same thing, same operations. They just have different names. So Jupiter is actually Zeus. But go ahead.
Verse 2. And to pollute also the temple in Jerusalem, and to call it the temple of Jupiter Olympius, and that in Garism of Jupiter the defender of strangers.
Right.
As they did desire that dwelt in that place. The coming of this mischief was sore and grievous to the people, for the temple was filled with riot and
so revealing. You see this? So no longer does anybody have a temple to their gods. Nobody has the right to serve their power and serve their gods, follow their customs and laws that they've been keeping from their fathers. Everyone have to let go of all of that and follow what the so-called Caucasian persuasion wants them to do. Right? Read.
For the temple was filled with riot and revealing by the Gentiles, who delayed with harlots, and had to go.
Here, hold on. Read it in the GNT. GNT chapter 1, verse. The GNT chapter 2 Maccabees Chapter 6, verse 1. Read that in the GNT. It's up there.
Okay.
Use your mic. Yeah.
Chapter 6. Not long after that, the king sent an elderly Athenian to force the Jews.
To do what?
To force the Jews.
So now you can understand better. Read on.
To abandon their religion and their customs of their ancestors.
Uh-huh.
He was also to defile their temple by dedicating it to the Olympian god Zeus.
Uh-huh.
The temple on Mount.
Read that again.
The temple on Mount Gerizim was to be officially named Temple of Zeus, the god of hospitality, as the people who lived there had requested. The oppression was harsh and almost intolerable. Gentiles filled the temple with drinking parties and all sorts of immorality.
So this whole thing about everyone being the same, and it's about unity and rainbow coalition, and we're all getting together, it's all a fog, man. Just like America's a fog. This is all America wants. America still serves these gods today. They have these pagan idolatries everywhere. They have your children worshiping them. When you got that Marvel and that thing called Marvel Universe, right? Mm-hmm. One of the people's most favorite superheroes is who? He waves around with the hammer. Huh? It's Thor. Thor is a pagan idol. How does a pagan idol become a superhero?
Right.
So now your child is running around with your shoe, waving around like a hammer, saying he's Thor, calling himself a pagan idol. This is what they want. Right? Read on. Right. Look at this homosexual.
You want your kid dress around like that.
All right. Read on.
Verse 3. The oppression was harsh and almost intolerable. Gentiles filled the temple with drinking parties and all sorts of immorality. They even had intercourse with prostitutes.
With what?
With prostitutes.
With who?
There. With prostitutes.
So now you see why we're dedicating the temple back. Because now when we get down to verse 38 and chapter 4 of 1 Maccabees next week, you're going to see how sad and how broken our people were. How destroyed Judas was. When they finally, for a long time, finally get to see Zion, finally get to see the temple with their eyes, they see it's defiled.
Right.
They see bottles of wine everywhere. They see shrubs of grass growing in the courtyards. They see the temple, or they see the chambers where the priests will go in and out, destroyed. You know why? Because them boys wasn't just walking, the Grecians wasn't just walking in there, destroying everything. They turned our temple into a Christian church.
Yep.
This is what this sounds like. Read that part again. Verse 3.
Verse 3. The oppression was harsh and almost intolerable. Gentiles filled the temple with drinking parties and
with what?
Drinking parties. And all sorts of immortality.
Like the Christian church. With, but immorality.
We know how when on Esau party, how he get when he get drunk. You know, they get wasted and they go to breaking everything around them. They see, yeah. You know how Esau is when he go to partying, man. So just imagine how they was up in the.
They got white boy drunk.
Yeah.
They were getting white boy drunk in our temple.
Yeah.
Read on.
They even had intercourse with prostitutes there. Forbidden objects were brought into the temple, and the altar was covered with detestable sacrifices prohibited by our law. It was impossible to observe the Sabbath, to celebrate any of the traditional festivals, or even so much as to admit to being a Jew.
Mm-hmm.
Each month, when the king's birthday was celebrated, the Jews were compelled by brute force to eat the intestines of sacrificial animals.
That sounds like when we were slaves. I know for sure they did that to Levi. They were forcing us to eat the intestines of swine. That's the reason why we have that we have that celebration where we drink that soup. We drink that soup that was supposedly too good for us. Right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But this is the state how they forced us, how we were living in slavery, even on today. I mean, because the culture that we live on today is still slave culture. That's why we sag our pants. That's why we still eat pig feet. That's why we eat pig fingers. No, pig fingers. Pig feet. That's why we still eat chitlins. A lot of Jews still eat chitlins. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Hold on, what a second. Officer, you going to say something about the chitlins?
It reminded me of, I was listening to Malcolm X's excerpt
Mm-hmm.
and he was like, back then, we called it the pig intestine. And now we disguise it with a fancy name, but it's still abomination. It's still, they call it chitlins now.
Yeah, chitlins.
Oh, that just sounds disgusting.
What do you call it? Pig intestine.
I'm gonna eat something called chitlins. That's disgusting, man. Our people, man, were defiled. Read on. But this is that's what led to our defilement. Read on.
Then during the festival in honor of wine.
Where are you? Where verse are you at?
I just finished the sacrifice, the intestines of sacrificial animals.
Read verse 7 one more time.
Okay, verse 7. Each month when the king's birthday was celebrated, the Jews were compelled by brute force to eat the intestines of sacrificial animals. Then during the festival in honor of wine, God Dionysus.
Read that one more time. During the festival in honor. Read that thoroughly. Read it through.
Then during the festival in honor of the wine god Dionysus, they were required to wear ivory wreaths on their heads and march in procession.
The ivory wreaths, that's just like when you see Caesar, he's wearing that green thing around his head. That's basically what that is. So he was forced to wear those things around their head for their wine god. So I was just telling them, Captain, how they turned our temple into a Christian church.
Right.
Yeah, they turned our temple into a Christian church. They were getting drunk. They were sleeping with prostitutes, just like they do today. Right? Or am I making that up?
No, you're not making it up.
Right. So when you see this, it's talking about this man saying, I'm going to fight Judas. I'm going to fight this man. That's against the king's commandment. This is the king's commandment right here. You can't even keep your God. You're paying him. You live in your land, but you can't keep your God. You can't follow your customs. So now you have to become gay like the Grecians. There you go.
With a flower cap on your head.
There you go. Second Maccabees. No, third Maccabees. First Maccabees Chapter 3.
Hold on. Let me go back.
The saddest thing is that a lot of our people, they actually want that for themselves.
Yeah, I'm going to go back to
That's
14.
why they fight us so much.
I'm going to go back to 14.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Okay.
14.
First Maccabees chapter 3 and verse 14. He said, I will get me an honor, get me a name and honor.
Oh, you're getting that. Okay, no, you could drop that. Drop that, jump down to verse 29.
29?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I want some context.
All right.
Context before we go to chapter 4. So what's going on?
First Maccabees chapter 3 and verse 29. Nevertheless, when he saw that the money of his treasures failed, and that the tributes in the country were small.
So this is King Antiochus. King Antiochus is King Antiochus the Fourth. So what he's doing, he's preparing a great army to go against Judas and Maccabees and the whole revolt that's going on right there. Because he already took down Judas Maccabees already took down two of Antiochus' main guys in Syria. Sanron the prince, and also Apollonius. He took them both down, right? This is the year 166 BCE. Read on.
And that the tributes in the country were small. Because of the dissensions of plague and plague, which he had brought upon the land, and taking away the laws.
Wait. There was a dissension and plague. Read on. What it says right there?
Which he had brought upon in the land.
He brought this problem into the land, into these lands. Read on. How?
In taking away the laws.
By doing what?
Taking away the laws.
Taking away the laws. Read on.
Which had been of old time.
Okay. There was no other Edomites that was doing this. Alexander wasn't doing this. Antiochus IV was the first one to make this decree that we should all be together. We should all be like the Greeks, right? In doing so, that was cutting off other nations from their timely customs that they did. There was customs that they did to each other, like morality, and then there's customs that you have or practices that you do to your own land. That's just like the year Jubilee, where we won't harvest the land, right? And what will that make the land?
More fruitful.
That will make them what?
More fruitful.
More fruitful, which means what? We can do what with that? Make what?
Make more.
One word.
Wine?
Simple word. Nope. Simple word.
Money.
We can make what?
Shekels.
We can make more money, right? We can make more money, right? Because we let the harvest grow. So all this time, with all these customs going on with the heathens that were probably doing this, guess what? He cut that off. So now he's seeing a shortage in his money supply. Read on. He jacked himself up.
Okay, that's a lot. Verse 30. He feared that he should not be able to bear the charges any longer, nor to have such gifts to give so liberty.
So the charges that he's bearing so long, those is what before. In verse 28. Read verse 28 and then jump back to 30.
Verse 28. He opened also his treasure and gave his soldiers pay for a year.
He did what?
He opened also his treasure and gave his soldiers pay for a year.
Imagine your manager. Imagine your supervisor pulling to the side. Listen, brother, I'm giving you pay for a whole year, right? And you're still getting paid your daily wages too. But I'm paying you a year amount of wages up front too. You're gonna be like, damn, I'm ready to get down forever, right? Jump down to 30.
Verse 30. He feared that he should not be able to bear the charges any longer.
So those are the charges. Read on.
Nor to have such gifts to give so liberty as he did before. For he had abundant above the kings that were before him.
Read on.
Wherefore, being greatly perplexed in his mind, he determined to go into Persia, there to take the tributes of the countries.
So historical context. The reason why he had more than the kings that abounded before him is because by the time of Antiochus IV, the taxes that they were paying to Rome ceased. Antiochus III was the one who paid it off completely after Seleucid II, and then actually after Seleucid, the actual man. So by Antiochus III, all their taxes that they were paying to the Roman Empire, that was a raising up empire coming up, a powerful army coming up, right? It was ceased. So now they can become more fruitful. Now they can start building up their money. That's why he said that he succeeded all the kings before him. Read on. It was in verse 31.
Verse 31.
Mm-hmm.
Wherefore, being greatly perplexed in his mind, he determined to go into Persia, there to take the tributes of the countries and to gather much money.
Right.
So he left
Lysias.
So he left Lysias, a nobleman, and one of the blood royal, to observe the affairs of
To oversee
the affairs of the king from the river Euphrates unto the borders of Egypt, and to bring up his son Antiochus until he came again. Moreover, he delivered unto him the half of his forces and the elephants, and gave him charge of all things that he would have done, as also concerning them that dwelt in Judah and Jerusalem.
Right. So basically, he's going to go try to fix his money problem in Persia, right? And he's leaving the affairs of the kingdom in the hands of this Caucasian man, Lysias, right? The reason why we're touching this is because we need context. When we go to chapter 4, we're going to see all the men that Lysias raised up to go fight against Judas in Judea, right? Okay, go on. Continue. Jump down to verse 38.
Okay. Verse 38. Then Lysias chose Ptolemy.
Yeah, Ptolemy.
Then Lysias chose Ptolemy, the son of Dorymenes.
You don't when it comes to Ptolemy, you don't pronounce the P. It's
So
just
it's
Ptolemy. Yeah.
Ptolemy. Okay. And the son of Dorymenes, and Nicanor, and Gorgias, mighty men of the king's friends. And with them he sent 40,000 footmen and 7,000 horsemen to go into the land of Judah and to destroy it, as the king commanded. So they went forth with all their power and came and pitched in Emmaus.
So remember this name, Emmaus. Emmaus. Remember this name because this is a famous battle that was taking place between Judas and Gorgias, taking place between them in 165 BCE. Right? Read on.
So they went forth with all their power and came and pitched by Emmaus in the plain country. And the merchants of the country, hearing the fame of them, took silver and gold very much with servants, and came into the camp to buy the children of Israel for slaves.
Right.
A power also of Syria.
Jump down to verse 53.
Verse 53.
Uh-huh.
How shall we be able to stand against them, except thou, O Yahweh, be our help?
Uh-huh.
Then sounded they with trumpets and cried with a loud voice. And after this Judas ordained captains over the people, even captains over thousands, and over hundreds, and over 50s, and over 10s. But as for such as were building houses, or had betrothed wives, or were planting vineyards, or were faithful.
Fearful.
Oh, that's a lot. Or fearful. Those he commanded that they should return, every man to his own house, according to the law. So they can't remove. So
who remember this? Not you, Ak. Who remember this? Captain Kazak. Captain Kadash. You remember this? Read that one more time. Verse 56.
Verse 56. But
because what Judas is doing right here, he's preparing to go to war. That's why he established his army, putting captains of 50s, 10s, 100s, and thousands, right? But before we go to war, who doesn't go to war with us? Who else? Think about this, because verse 56 is them going to war. Who is? This is in the law. It shows you Judas kept the law. Huh? Judas the Levite. Oh, my God.
The Levites got to come out there, bro. The priest got to be out there to tell the people.
Read verse 56 one more time.
Verse 56. But as for such as were building houses, or had betrothed wives, or were planting vineyards, or were fearful, those he commanded.
Yeah.
That they should be.
He's emphasizing every word. That's why he's making it easy. Go ahead, keep going.
He said the priest can't go. Those. That's a lot. Those he commanded that they should return every man to his own house according to the law.
Who remembers that in the law?
I got it right here.
Go ahead, get it.
Deuteronomy Chapter 20 and verse 1.
Mm-hmm.
When thou goest out to battle against the enemy, against thine enemies, and seest horses and chariots and people more than thou, be not afraid of them.
So this shows you a lot of times when we prepare to go to camp, we read this. Because we understand clearly when we go out and teach the scriptures and teach his word, we're going to what? We're going to where? No, we're going to the mall. We're going to the beach.
Mm-hmm. War.
I can't hear everybody. We're going to the war. We're going to the beach.
Going to war.
We're going to war.
Hallelujah.
We're spiritually fighting these people, right? Because you don't have to we don't have, sometimes, but we're spiritually fighting these people, and wherever it is what it is. But we understand this is war, right? We keep going.
Verse 2. And it shall be, when ye are come nigh unto the battle, that the priests.
Wait, who?
Benjamites?
Nah, I ain't gonna say all that.
No, that the priests.
This was gonna try to stone me. Read the what?
Verse 2. And it shall be, when ye are come nigh unto the battle.
No, the what?
That the priests.
So the reason why this is relating, because Judas was what? Judas Maccabeus was what? He was not you, what? He was what? He was a what? No, not just a Levite, but he was what? He was a priest. Mattathias and his brethren. Salakia. Stay in order.
I'm sorry.
Mattathias, Judas, and all their brethren, they were all priests.
It just made me laugh.
So this is the reason why Judas is commanding them and telling them this before to go to war. Because when you go further into Jewish life, this is what he does to give the people courage, right? Give the people courage and make them to fight valiant in war. He spoke the law. He spoke the history, the Tanakh. He spoke about the life of David. He spoke about Gideon. He mentioned these people because they went to war and they succeeded. So he used their lives. He used what happened to encourage the people, give them hope, right? Mm-hmm. Give me that scripture. Whatever it said in the old time was for your learning. Who got that precept?
Romans 15 and 4.
Look. Romans 15 and 4.
Romans chapter 15. Wrong page. Romans chapter 15 and verse 4. For whatsoever things were written aforetime were written for our learning.
What was written for our what?
For our learning.
For our who?
For our learning.
And the first thing that Judas understood that he learned was, is the Most High with numbers of men? Multitude of numbers of men? He's not. He's with whoever the damn well pleased to be with. He'll choose one man. He chose David. And David slew that giant and put a whole nation of people, a whole army of people to flight. Right? So the Lord will choose whoever he wants. Within Israel, of course. Right? Read on. Read from the beginning one more time.
Romans chapter 15 and verse 4.
Uh-huh.
For whatsoever things were written aforetime.
Read it again.
Were written.
Well, read it over.
For whatsoever things were written aforetime were written for our learning.
Read that one more time.
Romans chapter 15 and verse 4. For whatsoever things were written aforetime were written for our learning.
Uh-huh.
That we through patience.
We through what?
That we through patience.
Uh-huh.
And comfort of the scriptures might have hope.
We may have what?
Might have hope.
So a lot of times these men were scared. They were running to Judas. It was like, Judas, how can we do this? We were just fasting all day. We was praying to the Most High all day. How can we fight against all these people? But Judas said what? He brought them to what was written already. What happened already. What happened during Samuel and David and Gideon. He just showed them what they already know. And when he did that, he gave them hope. And what am I mentioning this for? So you can do the same thing. All right? Read. Drop that. Give me Maccabees. Maccabees chapter
3.
56. Yeah. Maccabees chapter 3, verse 56. And then I want Maccabees 3 and 9.
3 and 9?
Yeah, but read first Maccabees 3 and 56 first.
First Maccabees chapter 3 and verse 56. But as for such as were building houses, or had betrothed wives, or planted vineyards, or were faithful, those he commanded that they should return every man to his own house.
So why can't these men go with Judas to fight? Beside the fact that it's in the law. What's the wisdom behind this? Huh? What else? The whole thing. Those who are building houses, those who are building vineyards, those who have a betrothed wife. Huh? Who else? Not you. Not you. Nathaniel, you've been quiet. Read verse 56 again.
Verse 56.
Uh-huh.
But as for...
And whoever answers, I need camp voice. Ain't nobody can hear you online. They want to hear your answer. Read it.
But as for such as were building houses and or had betrothed wives, or were planting vineyards, or were fearful, those he commanded that they should return every man to his own house according to the law.
So what's the wisdom behind this? Why is this a law? This is a law, which means you have to do this. The Most High is commanding you to do this. All right, you're jumping around. I took your first answer. All right, I want Officer Nathaniel. All right, but I want you to say your point though. Go ahead. And I want to use your camp voice though. I can't hear you. He's at the same volume, same level volume. There's no other mic at all to use. There's no other mic at all. We gotta get another mic, but don't worry about it. Or we just need his brothers to use their camp voice. That's it. Go ahead.
If that man were to die, then he wouldn't be able to raise up seed anymore. That would cause a problem throughout Israel. And of course, where would his household go to? Where would his vineyard go to? Because that lineage could get cut off. So that's that house.
Who else? Who else? Officer Mazmur.
I was pretty much gonna say what.
Give me camp voice, Doc.
I was pretty much gonna say what Kadash had said about their.
You went 2 inches higher. I want a little bit louder. Yeah, I want you to yell. Stand up. Yeah, go ahead, stand up. Go ahead, stand up. Now go ahead and yell. You wrote that down before you got here, didn't you? Listen, read verse 56 again.
I'm trying to turn off my alarm. My alarm is going to go back off. Verse 56. But as for such as were building houses, or had betrothed wives, or were planting vineyards, or were fearful, those he commanded that they should return every man to his own house according to the law.
Search up a powerful phrase, a military phrase called "Today is a good day to die." Search up that phrase. That's a military phrase. You know where Esau got that military phrase from? You know where he got it from? He got it from us. Not from scriptures. He got it from our people. He got it from a powerful Gadite warrior called Crazy Horse. A powerful Gadite warrior named Crazy Horse. And when he went to war, he always said, Hoke Heke, which means something about, today is a good day to die. Follow me. That's what he said. And you know why he said that? It had nothing to do with death. It had nothing to do with it at all. The reason why I'm bringing this out, and let me know when you're ready. The reason why I'm bringing this out is because these people who are building houses and have betrothed wives and are planting vineyards and are fearful, these guys are not ready to die. They're not ready to die. They're not. I have a betrothed wife and I haven't laid with her yet. Why would I want to go to war where people die? Why? Why would I want to go to war where I have a house I haven't even stepped in? I haven't even slept the night in there yet. So he won't fight like he's about to lose his life. He won't fight as if his whole nation is weighing on the balance. He's not. You know what he's going to fight? He's going to wave his sword like, okay, I got you. I got you. Back up. Oh, I got you. Oh, get one cut. Okay, I can't fight anymore, Lieutenant. I can't fight no more, Cap. Look, you see this cut? I can't fight no more. You know why? Because they're goddamn excuses. That's why. Because he want to get home to that pretty-looking girl at home. That's what he's trying to do. You know why? These men ain't going to want to die. He's not going to want to die, man. Tell me when you're ready. Actually, just search it up on Google. Just search it up on Google. Yeah, and go to search. Yeah, Slovakia. There you go. Read that, Captain Aliyah.
A quotation from the Seox leader, Crazy Horse, who shouted, Hoke hey, today is a good day to die.
Powerful. Read on.
Meaning, loosely, today is a good day to die, often incorrectly thought to be a famous saying translated from the Seon language.
Here, what's that? Yeah, zoom out. Where's this is the explanation. Hold on 1 second. Give me 1 second. I just brought down the whole explanation on it. There you go. I found it. Here. Read it. It was the way I searched it up, I guess. But read that. It's right here.
Okay. This phrase means, I am ready for whatever comes.
What does it mean?
It means, I am ready for whatever comes.
A man who has a home that he hasn't slept in, is he ready for whatever comes? Is he ready for that? He's ready to see over that horizon. 10,000 men are coming to kill you and kill your wife and take your child and make him a slave. You think he's ready for that? He's not ready for that. The one scratch he gets, he wants to go back to his tent. He gets his garment dirty. Oh, Cap, I can't fight in it. These guys are not willing to die. This is the reason why Judas was taking very specific men and put them in his army. Keep reading and then get Maccabees, chapter 1, verse 3 and 9.
It was meant to show the warriors were not afraid of the battle or dying in it. It means that we should be ready to die on any given day. That's it on that. You want me to go back to Maccabees?
That's a powerful Gadite phraseology. It's when they defeated him, that's when they learned about what that meant. That's when one of the people translated that it meant a good day to die. It became a very popular military phraseology, right? What was that Edomite's name? There was an Edomite who used to say it all the time when he went to war. But go first, Maccabees Chapter 3, verse 9. Let's see the type of men that Judas was taking to go to war with him.
First Maccabees Chapter 3 and verse 9. So that he was renowned unto the utmost part of the earth. He had received unto him such as were ready to perish.
What? Say it one more time.
Such as were ready to perish.
Read it from the beginning again.
First Maccabees Chapter 3 and verse 9. So that he was renowned unto the utmost part of the earth, and he received unto him such as were ready to perish.
Who did he receive?
Such as were ready to perish.
That's who he received to his army. Judas wasn't just taking anybody. Oh, I'll fight for you. I'll fight for Israel. I want some possessions. I want some spoils. I'll fight. Why not? Why not? I'm not doing anything better, right? No, I don't want you. I want those who are willing to die. Are you ready to die? We're going to go to war tomorrow. You ready to die for that? You ready to die for this cause? I'm just talking in general. I'm talking about in general. I know the Akim inside this room right now are ready to die for the cause of the Most High. Khan? All praise to the Most High. I know these Akim are ready. These LOZ boys right here. LOZ men. Right? But this is who Judas was. He wasn't just taking no Johnny come lately Jake talking about some Salakia. What happened? Huh?
The phone calls.
Oh, you talking about phone calls?
Oh.
Talking about 10 o'clock?
Oh, yeah.
Hey.
So you got 5 minutes left.
Anyway, yeah. So Salakia. I lost my train of thought. What was I talking about?
We were ready to die.
Yeah. So our people was ready to die. That's who Judas was taking and joining his army. Read first Maccabees Chapter 4, verse 1. Huh? Bruce Wayne, good day. Good way to die hard. That's a good example. Esau always stealing our phraseologies. You think he thought about this himself? He didn't think of this. He stole it from somebody. And that somebody was a Gadite. One of our Gadite brothers, man. Yeah. Read on.
First Maccabees Chapter 4 and verse 1. Then took Gorgias 5,000 footmen and 1,000 of the best horsemen, and removed out of the camp by night, to the end he might rush in upon the camp of the Jews, and smite them suddenly. And the men of the fortress were his guides. And now when Judas heard thereof, he himself removed, and the valiant men with him, that he might smite the king's army which was at Emmaus.
Where are you?
Verse 4. While as yet the forces were despised from the camp, in the mean season came Gorgias by night in the camp of Judas.
Drop it. Go back to First Maccabees 3 and 57.
First Maccabees Chapter 3 and verse 57. So the camp removed and pitched upon the south side of Emmaus. And Judas said, arm yourselves, and be valiant men, and see that ye be in readiness against the morning, that ye might fight with these nations that are assembled together against us to destroy us and our sanctuary. For it is better for us to die in battle than to behold the calamities of our people and our sanctuary. Nevertheless, as the power will of Yahweh is in heaven, so let him do.
So I want to say all praise to the power of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. I guess we're going to be closing the class out early, right? But I want to say all praise to the Most High. Next week, we'll be able to go into chapter 4, and we'll be going through chapter 4 all the way to the point that we dedicated the temple back to the Lord and going through all of that, right? I want to say all praise to the Most High. Tomorrow at 12 p.m. to 3:30 p.m., we're going to be having a Shabbat service here at the LOZ Zion, located at 2937 Westboro Boulevard. I want to say all praise to the Most High, because on Friday nights we have the history class. Saturday mornings we have the Shabbat service. At 11:30 p.m. here at the LOZ Zion, we have the Hebrew class where we take the Hebrew. Also, and go on this other channel, 11:30. Yeah, 11:30 p.m. Yeah. No, yeah, Saturday morning. AM, Salakia. 11:30 p.m. AM.
That's another new show.
Salakia. Here, hold on 1 second. I'm about to send you something. Put on a couple other classes, Cap.
I'm sorry?
Bring out a couple other classes I'm missing.
Okay.
Wednesday, Tuesday,
we got Thursdays. Thursday is our soldiers class. It's not aired online, but we build up the soldiers there. And then you have your beloved Minister Zach for the Friday history class. He substitutes for our elder Lapalau, and usually you might see one of the officers or a captain like myself would be the reader for that Friday history class. We brought up. You said to bring it out. You said bring
Tuesday,
it out.
yeah. What's Tuesday? What's going on Tuesday?
Tuesdays we have that Bring It Out show with the captain of all captains, Captain Amawan Bun Loya, and he's with our beloved elder minister Shalimar. You can catch them on YouTube and also on Flex FM. I believe they come on around 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
6 o'clock, and they ends it at 8 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
So leave comments, and that's another spot where you can call in and support the LOZ.
Also on Wednesday, our beloved Captain Shamshwan, he covers the Wednesday wisdom class, and he goes over various topics about wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. You got it? Okay. Oh, you just pulled it up from there? So are they able to see it? Are they seeing it right now? They can't see it right now? Yeah, I want them to see it. They can see it? So when you have a chance, I want every brother and sister that's on the live or follow that are subscribed to the LOZ Zion main channel. I want you to subscribe to all these channels here. The LOZ Zion Highlands County, Florida. Next one. The LOZ Zion Lee County, Florida. Next one. The LOZ Zion Dade County. Read on. Keep going. The LOZ Zion Augustus, Georgia. Because, all praise to the Most High. We're supposed to spread this word to the four corners of the earth. So as much as possible, we're going to raise up zones, raise up brothers and sisters, raise up brothers, especially that are in North Carolina, South Carolina, New York. Don't matter. As long as you're in this, get in contact with us, and we're going to raise you up and raise up that zone. Because guess what? We have to spread this word across the four corners of the earth. So I want to say shalom to the nation of Israel. We're going to rise and face the east and do this prayer.
Hold on.
Huh? They're doing the phone now? No one told me that. Brother's going off, man.
That's what I asked.
Don't worry, we have counsel. Go ahead. What's the phone calls? Everybody hear it? You can be able to put it on the screen for them? Can't throw it up.
But the class over, though. We supposed to do that in the middle of the class. Open the line.
We ain't going to discuss that. For any brother and sister who wants to call into the class, you want to ask any questions, you want to know any information about Hanukkah, don't worry about it. We're not doing a prayer yet. But for any brother or sister that want to call into the class, you want to know any information about Hanukkah, maybe you want to keep Hanukkah with the LOZ Zion because you're a fervent lover of the LOZ Zion. All praise to the Most High. If you want to do so, call in, or maybe you want to just make a comment or ask a question about the class, then do so. Until then, we're going to continue going. Chapter 4, yeah. Read verse 4. Chapter 4, verse 1.
First Maccabees Chapter 4 and verse 1. Then took Gorgias 5,000 footmen and 1,000 of the best horsemen, and removed out of the camp by night, to the end he might rush in upon the camp of the Jews, and smite them suddenly. And the men of the fortress were his guides. Now when Judas heard thereof, he himself removed, and the valiant men with him.
So in verse 1 it says, then Gorgias then took Gorgias 5,000 footmen and 1,000 of the best horsemen, and removed out of the camp by night. So who knows what this is? This is not a normal army that he's taking out.
It's a little raid.
What is it? What is it? I want a camp voice. I can't hear you.
It's a raid.
That's right. Teach the other brothers. That's a night raid. That's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. Good observation. He only took 5,000. He only took 5,000 foot soldiers, and he also took an additional 1,000 men on chariots, on horses.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on, let me see. Yeah, chariots. So he only have 6,000 men with him, and the reason why he's moving in at night is because he just saw Apollonius, and he just saw Sciron the prince. He saw them come with all their forces, and Judas killed them and destroyed them and took their spoil. They went heads on with Judas and lost. So now he's going with a different approach. He just got hired to come up against Judas. So he's going to do? I'm going to ambush him. We're going to surprise him. But guess what? As an Israelite of the tribe of Levi, he was 10 steps ahead. Well, 12 steps ahead. Read, verse 2.
Verse 2.
All right.
To the end he might rush in upon the camp of the Jews and smite them suddenly. And the men of the fortress were his guides. Now when Judas heard thereof, he himself removed, and the valiant men with him, that he might smite the king's army which was at Emmaus.
At where?
Emmaus.
So that right there was what we were talking about in the chapter previous. That this is the famous battle that he fought this damn Edomite, Gorgias. Right? This is called the Battle of Emmaus, and it took place in 165 BC. All right? Read on.
While as yet the forces were dispersed from the camp, and the mean season came Gorgias by night into the camp of Judas, and when he found no men there, he sought them in the morning mountains.
Read that again.
In the mean season came Gorgias by night into the camp of Judas, and when he found no man there, he sought them in the mountains, for he said, these fellows flee from us. But soon as it was day, Judas showed himself in the plain with 3,000 men.
So Judas has about 3,000 men. This is half the amount of men that Gorgias has. Right? Read on.
Who nevertheless had neither armor nor swords to their minds.
Read on.
And they saw the camp and the heathen that it was strong and well harnessed, and compassed round about with horsemen, and were expert of war. Then said Judas to the men that were with him, fear ye not their multitude, neither be ye afraid of their assault. Remember how our fathers were delivered in the Red Sea, when Pharaoh pursued them with an army. Now therefore let us cry unto heaven, if peradventure Yahweh will have mercy upon us. Here. And remember the covenant of our fathers.
I sent you something.
And destroy.
Hold on. I sent you something. It's one of the things. It's called. It's a source. It's called Bezalel Bar Kovac, Judas Maccabees. Some of you. So this is a book I'm sourcing right here. It's called by Bezalel Bar Kovac, Judas Maccabees, the Jewish struggle against Seleucid. So we're gonna read a quote about his army and how the Greeks structured their army. Right now, go to the next one. Right here, the deployment and tactics, page 6. No, not that one. That's the verse we was going in chapter 6. Right there. Zoom in right there to the top. Go ahead, read it, Captain.
The units of their deployments. The basic Hellenistic battle deployment consists of heavy infantry and the century, cavalry that protected them on the wings. and light infantry who served as skirmishers and were deployed in the century in front of the heavy foot soldiers. Within the framework of the general pattern of the formation, it was sometimes necessary to introduce changes and variations, such as the placement of cavalry units between the heavy infantry and the sentry, of light cavalry between the foot skirmishers and the like. All these were sometimes augmented by war elephants and more rarely by seethed chariots. The position of the elephants varied from battle to battle depending on the terrain of the tactical requirements.
So what's going on with Gorgias force? It's nothing like this. This is how it's supposed to be.
Right.
This is how they're supposed to be rolling out. But that's what he did. He cut all his forces in short. He cut all his forces in half just so he can do a night assault against Judas. Because he's seen this before. He saw this with the other guys. And guess what? It didn't work. So he changed his entire approach. He relied on an entire new approach just so that what? He can defeat Judas. And guess what? Judas was 10 steps ahead. He came to Judas' tents at night. Guess what? Judas wasn't even there. He already planned a trap for him.
I'm over here.
Right? Go back to the script. We're going to go back to the source, but keep going.
All right. Slug. I'm going to go to verse 8. Then Judas said to the men.
No. You was in verse 9.
9. Remember how our fathers were delivered in the Red Sea when Pharaoh pursued them with an army. Now, therefore, let us cry unto heaven if peradventure Yahweh will have mercy upon us and remember the covenant of our fathers and destroy his hosts before our face this day, that so all the heathen that may know that there is one who delivereth and saveth Israel. Then the strangers lifted up their eyes and saw them coming over against them. Wherefore they were out of the camp to battle. But they that were with Judas sounded their trumpets.
What did he do?
Sounded their trumpets.
Now, who understands why they decided to sound the trumpets? Who understands that?
Smash it.
I'm going to tell you something. It's very simple. Why did they sound the trumpets when they went to war? Who got it? Officer Bars. I see wood burning.
I see it too. I see it.
You're burning wood on the Shabbat. What's going on?
So they started the horn to say it's time to attack?
Nope. Somebody's going to surprise me. It's very simple. We were just talking about it with the other one. It said these field for men, and these men who were building houses, they can't go with us. Why couldn't they go with us? Nope. That's wisdom. But the simple answer was what? Because it was according to the what? Nope. The what?
The law.
Who said it?
Cap.
Captain, you cheating guy.
He got this.
You cheating, Cap. But read Numbers. Get Numbers chapter 10, verse 8.
Captain of me.
Oh, no, you.
Okay.
Numbers chapter 10, verse 8.
Con. Everybody got it, Con? Numbers chapter 10 and verse 8. And the sons of Aaron.
Start from verse 7.
Verse 7. But when the congregation is to be gathered together, ye shall blow, but ye shall not sound an alarm.
Uh-huh.
But the sons of Aaron, the priests, shall blow with the trumpets, and they shall be to you for an ordinance forever throughout your generations.
Right, read on.
And if ye go to war,
Your mic's not low. You speaking into your mic.
and if ye go to war in your land against the enemy that oppress you, then ye shall blow with an alarm.
You shall blow what?
Blow with an alarm.
You see the difference between 7 and 9? Verse 7 says, when the congregation is to be gathered together, ye shall blow, but ye shall not sound an alarm. So the distinct sound on how he blew the horn. Because Officer Bunica was up here, who would just do the demonstration for me. But when you blew the horn, it will be like this. That's how you blow the sound. Too late, Officer Bunnicud. But that's how you'll blow the horn. But the alarm will be a distinct sound. People understand? Stop what you're doing. It's danger, right? It will be irritating. Like, you hear that, there's something going on. You hear that in a building, there's a fire, right? You hear that in a building, someone's breaking into. You hear that in your house, someone's breaking into your house at 3 in the morning. You know what I'm saying? So that's the difference. The alarm, the blowing of the trumpet. But read on.
Verse 9, and if ye go to war in your land against the enemy that oppresseth you, then ye shall blow an alarm with the trumpets, and ye shall be remembered before the Most High your power.
So we're going to war with Judas. Judas like, take the horns, blow these horns, because we're going to war. This is the law, right? Go back to Maccabees. Actually, hold that, and we're going to show you that an example of this being in war. Give me Judges chapter 7, verse 18. Or praise the Most High. Judges chapter 7, verse 18. If you got any comments to make, you can go ahead and call in. Go ahead. You got a question? Go ahead.
So this alarm, would this be the same, or what alarm would the sound be from Amos 3 and 6?
Amos 3 and 6? Read it.
Okay. Book of Amos, chapter 3 and verse 6.
Con.
Shall a trumpet be blown in the city, and the people not be afraid? Shall there be evil in the city, and the Lord hath not done it?
Oh, 3 and 6? Where it says, if the trumpet be blown. Read it one more time.
Shall a trumpet be blown in the city, and the people not be afraid?
That's the alarm. That's the alarm. And why you wait so long? That was a good precept. I forgot about that one. Yeah, that's the alarm. That's not the blowing in the congregation. Blowing in the congregation is, for example, here at the LOZ Zion, when we go into the Shabbat service, when we go into the break, guess what? The people will go, they'll go eat, they'll go talk, converse with each other, but we'll send a young man to blow the trumpet to call the people black, to call the people back. That's the blowing of the trumpet.
Like it says in Psalms
right?
81.
They hear the blowing of the trumpet during the break. Do you think they're thinking that that's an alarm, that there's a fire going on their side? Or maybe two brothers are fighting each other. Or maybe a car just drove his car to the back of this place. No. They hear that trumpet being blown. Okay, it's time for me to find my seat. That's what that is. But when you're in give me an example. When you're in a store or something and you hear the alarm going off, someone just stole something. You see the difference? So that's why he had to make that distinction. Go ahead. Judges 7 and 18.
This is the book of Judges, chapter 7 and verse 18. When I blow with a trumpet, I and all that are with me, then blow ye the trumpets also on every side.
Hold on. Read it one more time.
Judges chapter.
Read it from the verse before.
It's verse 17.
Judges 7 and 17. Con.
Judges chapter 7 and verse 17. And he said unto them, look on me, and do likewise. And behold, when I come to the outside of the camp, it shall be that as I do, so shall ye do.
So this is Gideon speaking. Gideon speaking to his 300 men who had trumpets, who had the torches and the pitchers, and he's telling them, grab your shofars, grab your trumpets, and do what? Read on.
When I blow with a trumpet.
Do what?
When I blow with a trumpet.
So this was a strategic thing that we did when we went to war. Not only Gideon did this, but we see Judas doing this. So where do you think Judas got it from? You think he just pulled it out in his mind? He was just sitting down and he saw a flash of light? Trumpets. No. That's why you see Romans chapter 15 says what? The things that happened before was for our learning. Right? Read on.
When I blow with a trumpet, I and all that are with me, then blow ye the trumpets also on every side of all the camp, and say, the sword of Yahweh and of Gideon.
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 Gideon. Just read it through. Gideon.
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 You want me to read verse 19?
Don't worry about it. But no, it's nothing like that. It's like
Gideon.
Hold on.
But it's O-N. E-O-N.
It's all right. It's just that's how you pronounce it. So Gideon, the sword of the Lord and of Gideon. So we can see that this is displayed in war. Let's get one more. Give me the book of Joshua. Not Joshua, Nehemiah.
Nehemiah?
Uh-huh.
Hold on. Nehemiah where?
Nehemiah 4:20.
Con. Nehemiah chapter 4 and verse 20.
Mm-hmm.
In what place, therefore, ye hear the sound of the trumpet?
You hear the what?
The sound of the trumpet.
The sound of the trumpet. Read on.
Resort ye thither unto us.
Unto who?
Unto us.
Unto us. Read on.
Our power shall fight for us.
And our power shall fight for us. This is when we were building the temple back.
Hallelujah.
The second temple.
Building
the wall during Nehemiah's time. And when we was doing this, the heathens were trying to stop us from constructing our wall. So while they were constructing, they had to carry their tools to construct, to work, and they also had to carry a sword and carry a trumpet. So wherever side the Moabites want to do a little drive-by, wherever side the Edomites want to pull up on us, guess what? We were ready. We blew that alarm. I wish you can pull this scene for me. Go on YouTube and see if you can find that scene for me with Bad Boys 1 or 2. I think it was Bad Boys 1 or 2. I forgot which one it was. And Bad Boys 1 and 2, you got all the Levites. They're all sitting down by the cars. And then one of the Levites pulled out a trumpet and started, and all of them started getting up in their cars. Listen, he's going off. Benjamites. Tribalism. Yeah, Bad Boys 2? Yeah, check that out for me. See if you ever find a clip, but don't play the sound though. But yeah, go back to Maccabees.
This is a lot. I wanted to write down this scripture that you said. That's a very great scripture. Nehemiah 4 and 20. So back in Maccabees, right?
First Maccabees chapter 4, verse 13.
Con. First Maccabees chapter 4 and verse 13. Wherefore they went out of the camp to battle, but they that were with Judas sounded their trumpets. So they joined battle, and the heathen, being discomforted, fled.
What happened?
The heathen, being discomforted, fled into the plain.
You found the scene? So they joined battle, and the heathen, being discomforted, fled into the plain. So and we're going to show you the image of this battle being taking place, right? But because of the sound of the trumpets and the way they were being blown, they got afraid. They were terrified, and they ran from Judas and his band. All right? Let me know when you're ready. Are you still looking for it? You can keep reading. All right.
Okay. Verse 15. Howbeit, all the hindmost of them were slain with the sword, for they pursued them unto Gaziar and unto the plains of Idumea and Oz.
Here, do me a favor, Officer Cole. I know you're still looking for it. I still want you to look for it, but take a pause. I want you to put up an image I sent on Gmail with a map of this scene, and then you can go back to looking for the video. There you go. Yeah, there you go. They can see it online, right? Okay, all praises. Now go back to verse 14.
Verse 14. So they joined the battle. So they joined battle, and the heathen, being discomforted, fled into the plain.
Uh-huh.
Verse 15. Howbeit.
So I want to say all praise in the Most High. So when you start from First Maccabees chapter 4, verse 1, this is really what happened. So you see Gorgias, he came from this direction in Emmaus, because he came here looking for Judas, And then what happened is that Judas wasn't here. He fled over into Mizpah. The reason why it's called the battle is because Gorgias, when he came to find Judas and he saw them blowing the shofars here, they fled back and went back here. And this is where the battle ended. Because when Gorgias and their troops fled back over here, this is when Judas came back and chased them and then destroyed them. So this is the whole situation. Gorgias came from down here. He looked for Judas, couldn't find him. Judas was already over here. And then Judas chased them back to Emmaus and then destroyed them. That's the whole situation was going on. And this all took place in 165 BCE. Read on.
Howbeit, all the hindmost of them were slain with the sword, for they pursued them unto Gezer, and unto the plains of Idumea, and Azotos, and Jamina, so that there were slain of them.
You can take it down.
Upon a 3,000 men. This done, Judas returned again with his host from pursuing them. And he said to the people, be not greedy of the spoils, in as much as there is a battle before us. And Gorgias and his host.
So the situation going on now is that it said, and said to the people, be not greedy of the spoil, in as much as there is a battle before us. So now they're in the midst of battle. He's telling them, don't start forgetting that you're fighting these people. There's 6,000 of them. We're only 3,000. You only took out a few of them. You only took about half their troops. So now what you're going to do, you're going to see all these spoils. You're going to see these tents, the swords, the armory. You're going to see all these things. And then you're going to forget that you're in the midst of battle. Don't do that. Because the minute you start doing that, they're gonna do a whole full U-turn and come back and then start killing you. Then you're going to start saying, oh, God, why is me? That's what Judas is basically saying. Right? Read on.
Verse 18, and Gorgias and his hosts are here by us in the mountain.
So Judas wasn't stupid. He understood that they were still there. They didn't completely flee or retreat. Read on.
And stand ye now against our enemies and overcome them. And after this, ye may boldly take their spoils.
Read on.
As Judas was yet speaking these words, there appeared a part of them looking out of the mountains, who when they perceived that the Jews had put their host to flight.
Hold on before you play it. But read on.
And were burning the tents, for the smoke that was seen declared what was done. When therefore they perceived these things, they were sore afraid, and seeing also the host of Judas in the plain ready to fight.
Right.
They fled every one into the land of strangers. Then Judas returned to spoil the tents, where they got much gold and silver, and bulk silk and purple of the sea, and great riches. After this, they went home and sung a song of thanksgiving.
So before we break that down, go ahead and play this video. They can see it on the thing, right? I don't want no sound because I don't want no copyright. Huh?
Just mute it.
That's straight. Oh.
Yeah, just mute it.
Huh? It's all right. It might slip through. Play from the beginning one more time. So these Edomites, they're seeing this. They see a band of Israelites all gathered together. Hey, from a distance, they look like just Negroes. They look like a bunch of niggas from a distance. But when they heard that shofar, it was like, oh, snap, we're dealing with something else. We're dealing with something supernatural. Play that video. They're organized.
Everybody know whose seat they gotta sit in. I got the back left seat.
Go ahead.
Ain't
Let's
nobody
get back to the
fighting
video.
for a chair.
Go ahead. What's Ezekiel 3 and 6?
Warn the people.
Sound the alarm. I know what you're talking about. Yeah, it perfectly goes around with that. Especially when we was going to in the law, I think it was Numbers. When we was going to Numbers, that perfectly aligns with that. Because so I have just to make sure that I'm paying attention. When he blew that shofar, they can see me, right? So when that brother blew the shofar, when we was going into the law, was he blowing that shofar so everyone to sit down and go into the scriptures? Was he gathering the Akim together to congregate and drink some yun, some wine?
Yeah.
Kana la'a.
La'a.
Kana la'a.
La'a.
Or was he gathering them to go to war? You saw where they were putting in their car? They're going to war. That's what they're about to do. And that's what these white boys were seeing in Judah, in First Maccabees. They saw this. They saw they were organized. And they said, oh, okay, now let's run away. Right? Go ahead. First Maccabees Chapter 4. Verse 24. Actually, start from verse 23 and then continue with 24.
Verse 23. Then Judas returned to spoil the tents, where they got much gold and silver and bulk and blue silk and purple of the sea and great riches. After this they went home and sung a song of thanksgiving and praised Yahweh in heaven.
They sung a song of what?
And praised Yahweh in heaven.
After this they went home.
After this they went home and sung a song of thanksgiving.
So they were passing around Turkey.
Sung a song of thanksgiving.
They sung a song of thanksgiving. A lot of people are not familiar with this terminology. We see Thanksgiving being mentioned in the scriptures, and then a lot of times we skip over it because we see what they do with it today. Because next week, on Thursday, is what? It's that blasphemous, disgusting feast day called Thanksgiving. Right. But let's go into this word. Give me the online etymology dictionary and search up the word Thanksgiving. We're going to see what it says about that. And then we're going to, at the same time, we're going to be showing you how Thanksgiving is idolatry. Yeah. It's an idolatry practice. There you go. Thanksgiving. Read that, Captain.
Thanksgiving.
Mike. Yeah.
Thanksgiving. 1530s. The giving of thanks. From thanks. Presents practical of give. In the specific sense of public celebration acknowledging divine favors.
The what?
Divine favors.
So this is what it was used for. In the 1530s, this is how Thanksgiving was applied. When you said I'm eating this food, or I'm sitting down, or I'm doing this on Thanksgiving, it had nothing to do with turkeys and pilgrims and lying Caucasians. It had nothing to do with that. What it had to do was what? In specific sense of public celebration, acknowledging divine favors. That's what we acknowledge. Whatever situation we're going through that's good and successful for us, we're acknowledging is being given to us by a divine one. That's what it is. So when they're celebrating Thanksgiving, the reason why they took this terminology and applied it is because what? When they was killing all those natives, those powerful native Gadites, them Reubenites, people like crazy guys named Crazy Horse, when they were fighting these warriors and defeating them, guess what? They said, surely this is our God who gave us his reward. Our God who gave us this victory. And that's why we sit down and we stuff down this dirty, stinking bird called turkey, which you don't eat any other day besides Thanksgiving. Right? So go ahead. Go back to First Maccabees. Huh? Listen, man. Esau's the devil. How about that? That's the answer for 2021.
Verse 24.
Uh-huh.
After this, they went home and sung a song of thanksgiving and praised Yahweh in heaven, because it is good, because his mercy endureth forever.
Read. Uh-huh.
Thus Israel had a great deliverance that day. Now all the strangers that had escaped came and told Lysias what had happened, who, when he heard thereof, was confounded and discouraged, because neither such things as he would were done unto Israel, nor such things as the king commanded him were come to pass.
So he just doesn't understand. All these people, whether you come with a great army, whether you want to be crafty like the devil you are and come with a small army, it doesn't matter. Oh, we're doing all these different strategic maneuvers to go against these Negroes, and it's not working. What's happening? I'm setting up these guys I know that are strategic, that have military backgrounds. Why aren't they able to kill this Negro? Why aren't they able to kill these band of Negroes, man? Why aren't they able to do it? So he's just scratching his head. He doesn't know what's going on. Read on.
The next year thereof, following, Lysias gathered together 70,000.
How much is 3 score? 60. It's 60. So he has 60,000 choice men of foot. Read on.
70,000 choice men of foot, and 5,000 horsemen.
So he gathered together 65,000 soldiers. Read on.
That he might subdue them.
So now he's like, you know what? Screw it. We're going to come out with a damn strong arm. We're going to strong arm them. Read on.
So they came into Idumea and pitched their tents at Beth Shurah. And Judas met them with 10,000 men. And when he saw...
Salakia, Officer Nathaniel, I need a picture to be put up right now. It's on the Gmail. Let me know when you're there. Read that verse again.
Verse 29. So they came into Idumea and pitched their tents in Beth Shurah, and Judas met them with 10,000 men.
The one that's highlighted, yeah. Okay, so read. Keep going. He met them what?
Verse 29. So they came into Idumea and pitched their tents at Beth Shurah, and Judas met them with 10,000 men.
He met them with 10,000 men. So this is out of the same book, Jewish Maccabees and the Jewish struggles against the Seleucid army, right? This is page 48, well, 47 first. So zoom in to the top. There you go. Keep going reading. Keep reading.
Hold on.
There you go. Now you can read it. Go ahead. Page 47.
Read what's highlighted or not highlighted?
What's highlighted?
Read what's in yellow.
What's highlighted?
All right. The campaigns were conducted with guerrilla methods, where numerical strength is not a decisive factor.
The most. Now keep going. Go down. So what he's talking about is the tactics and the strategies that Judas Maccabees was using. They're trying to clarify, because these people these guys, they don't understand the God that we serve. They don't understand how the Most High will use one man to kill 10,000. They don't understand that, but we do. So what he's trying to do is trying to explain what tactics he used to be able to overcome this great number of people. Going against 65,000 men, going against 10,000 men, going over 20,000 men, 6,000 men, 7,000 men. And the beginning of his warfare, he only started with 3,000. By almost the end, he ended up with 10,000. But that's nowhere near to what they had. 65,000, 40,000, 50,000 men to spare for Judas to kill, right? Read that. The most that
can be said is that the number was no less than 6,000 men. Estimate. Second Maccabees states for the start of the revolt, a numerical.
Yeah, read closer to the mic.
A numerical
potential
no smaller than that can be inferred from First Maccabees, which reports after the careful screening and selection at Mizpah, on the eve of the battle of Emmaus.
So it's calling it Emmaus, but that's really was Emmaus, which was written in the scriptures. So we just saw that battle with him in the beginning of chapter 4 when he was fighting Gorgias. He only had 3,000 men at that time. Read on.
3,000 men were left encamped. Both figures were certainly somewhat rounded off. And the letter is repeated in First Maccabees for the Jewish forces in other battles. But according to the general spirit of these sources, it may be assumed that if anything, the figures were understated rather than overstated. At the same time, there is no doubt that in the clashes themselves, forces smaller than 6,000 men were utilized as at Beth Horon and Emmaus, which the tactical requirements inherent in setting an ambush and conducting a long night march dictated the participation of only picked units. It is illuminating that in the wake of the first success, the camp gradually grew until even according to First Maccabees, it reached 10,000 men at Beth Zur, a short time before the purification of the temple.
Which is chapter 4. From chapter 4 all the way to chapter 5, right? So this is really what we're going to right now. At this point where he reached 10,000 men. He began with 3,000, which led further into about the battle of Emasa, where he had 6,000, and it led to 10,000. He continued to gain men because what? They're seeing that what? He's winning. Mm-hmm. He's not losing. From this time, he hasn't lost one battle against any of these people. Not one of them have made him retreat. He's been fighting all these heathens and defeating all of them. And he's been having the lower amount of numbers than any of them. Right? So, go back to the scriptures. The what out.
So they camped in First Maccabees Chapter 4 and verse 29.
No, you read that. Just go to verse 30. Only thing left over of it was, and Judas met them with 10,000 men. That's the context. That was the context of it before. But go ahead. They can see me, right?
Verse 30.
Conthwara.
And when he saw that mighty army, he prayed and said, Blessed art thou, O Savior of Israel, who didst quell the violence of the mighty men by the hand of thy servant David, and gavest the host of strangers into the hand of Jonathan, the son of Saul, and his armor bearer. Shut up this army in the hand of thy people Israel, and let them be confounded in their power and horsemen. Make them to be of no courage, and cause them boldness of their strength to fall away, and let them quake at their destruction. Cast them down with the sword of them that love thee, and let all those that know thy name praise thee with thanksgiving.
So let all those praise him with thanksgiving. Let all praise him, acknowledging that all things that we receive, the win, the victories, are all from the divine, the Most High. Right? Read on.
Verse 34. So they joined battle, and there were slain of the host of Lysias about 5,000 men. Even before them were they slain. Now when Lysias saw his army put to flight, and the manliness of Judah's soldiers, and how they were ready to either live or die violently.
Read it one more time.
Verse 35. Now when Lysias saw his army put to flight, and the manliness of Judah's soldiers, and how they were ready either to live or die violently.
Violently. So they were ready to live or die. So now we get another precept to what we were saying before in 1 Maccabees 3:9. Because what? They were what? He was choosing specific men that were willing to what? To die. They were willing to live or die. If they're going to live their life, they're going to live their life to their fullest to what? Serve the cause. And if they die that day, they'll die. That's the reason why I brought you that phrase by the Gadite warrior Crazy Horse, where he made the famous phrase that said what? Today is a good day to die. All right, read on.
He went into Antiochia and gathered together a company of strangers, and having made his army greater than it was, he pursued to come again into Judea. Then said Judas and his brethren, behold, our enemies are discomfited. Let us go up to cleanse and dedicate the sanctuary. Upon this all the hosts assembled themselves together and went up into Mount Zion.
So, Ba'ashem, Amasiach Yahushai, the water from Yad. Man, I want to say all praise to the Most High. Let's give a hand to the Most High. For surely his mercy endure forever, especially in these last days. Things are getting harder for us. But the harder they get, the closer we are to the kingdom. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
So, all praise to the Most High. For many brothers and sisters, you have the location for Hanukkah?
The
I got
location,
it. Don't worry about it. I got it.
6800 Sunset Strip, Florida. Zip code 33313. Sullivan Civic Center.
I just asked you if you had it.
You
knew it by heart.
I do. I was trying to get it for you. You said, don't worry.
But if you got it. But I invite all the brothers and sisters watching on the live, any brothers and sisters that subscribe to The Light of Zion, this is Hanukkah that's coming up, the day where we dedicate our temple back to the Lord, a day where we celebrate Black and Hispanic mothers and fathers that are teaching our people to keep the law, statute, commandments. Same way Mattathias taught Judas to keep the commandments, therefore he loved his people and was willing to die for his people. This is a day where we honor our troopers. This is the same day where we give our troopers and our officers new ranks, because these are the same men like Judas that are willing to die for you today. And we also honor Hanukkah like the Day of Veterans, where we honor our elders that brought us in these positions today. So, what's the address?
The address to Hanukkah will be on Sunset Strip. It would be the Village Civic Center. The address is 6800 Sunset Strip, Florida, zip code 33313.
So if you're in the area, or if not, buy that ticket. Buy that ticket. Go in the Spirit, on Spirit Airlines, and get over here, because the Light of Zion is waiting for you. Hallelujah. So we can rise and face the east and do this prayer.
All praise.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Who's the power?
Yahweh's the power.
Who's the power?
Yahweh's the power.
Ba'ashem.
Yahushua.
Ba'ashem.
Yahushua.
Psalms 133 in the last one, Korash. Repeat the Hebrew. Shayar.
Shiyar.
Hama
Adwa.
Ladawad.
Ladawad.
Hana.
Ana.
Ma. Tawab. Wama.
Wama.
Nayam. Shabath. Akyam. Gum. Yakad. Kashaman. Hatawab.
Atawab.
Al.
Al.
Haraash.
Araash.
Yorad.
Yorad.
Al,
Ya'ad,
Hazakwan,
Azakwan,
Zakwan,
Zakwan,
Aharan,
Aharan,
Shayarad,
Shayarad,
Al,
Ail,
Paya,
Paya,
Mariwafyawa,
Karawathua,
Kato,
Kato,
Kawanwan,
Kawanwan,
Shayarad,
Shayarad,
Al,
Ail,
Haraya,
Arya,
Taziawan,
Tazawan,
Kaya,
Kaya,
Sham,
Shum,
Tazawa,
Tazawa,
Yahweh,
Yahweh,
Af,
Ath,
Abakah,
Arabakad,
Kayam,
Ayam,
Ain,
Ai,
Hayawam,
Alam,
Bahashem,
Bahashem,
Amasiak,
Hamashiach,
Yahushai,
Yahushai,
the water,
the water,
Thamyad,
Thamyad,
Aman.
Aman.
Read in English.
This is the book of Psalms, chapter 133. Behold, how good and how pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in unity. It is like the precious ointment upon the head that ran down upon the beard, even Aaron's beard, that went down to the skirts of his garment, and as the dew of Hermon, and as the dew that descended upon the mountains of Zion. For there Yahweh commanded the blessings for life, even life forevermore. By Hashem Hamashiach Yahushai, the water Thamyad, Aman. Get a Most High hand.
So Most High willing, we see many of the brothers